Have you ever wondered how some brands they just feel different, you know? They're not just selling you something, they're selling you a vision of who you could become. Well, today, we are pulling back the curtain on exactly how that happens. We're going to go inside the architectural blueprint of a brand called RiseOra to see how you build not just a company, but an entire identity right from the ground up.
Everything, and I mean everything, started with this one single powerful question. Now, this isn't about some new marketing tactic. It's a core philosophy. It completely reframes the whole idea of self-improvement, not as some chaotic hustle, but as a really thoughtful, intentional act of design. This question, it's the cornerstone of the entire brand.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? How do you take a big idea like that and actually translate it into a living, breathing brand that people can connect with? Okay, let's unpack the architecture that makes it all possible.
First things first, every great structure needs a solid foundation. And for a brand, that foundation isn't concrete and steel, it's identity. It's the answer to the big question. Why do we even exist? Let's see how RiseOra laid its cornerstone. You've got to pay attention to the words here. They're so deliberate. Empower, rise, highest identity. I mean, this is the language of transformation, not transactions. It's a mission that's focused on a long-term journey, and it sets this clear, elevated tone for literally everything that comes next. So these 6 core values, they're the pillars holding up that mission. They become the compass for every single decision, from the content they create to the products they might develop. Self-mastery, elevation, discipline, these aren't just buzzwords, you know? They are the code that's written directly into the brand's DNA. Okay, this is a really crucial detail. Take a look at that avoid column. This shows you that defining what your brand isn't is just as powerful as defining what it is. By consciously rejecting that aggressive hustle culture, RiseOra carves out its own unique space, one that feels calm, mature, and way more focused. All right, so with the foundation set, it's time to build the structure. You know, the parts people actually see and interact with. And that's where content strategy comes in. This is how the brand's identity goes from being an internal document to something the whole world can see.
Now this isn't just a random list of topics. It's a precise formula. 40%, the biggest chunk, is dedicated to their core mission, self-improvement. That guarantees focus. And the other pieces, like aesthetic lifestyle and education, they don't distract from the theme. They actually support it and make it richer, creating this really balanced and engaging experience for anyone who follows.
Let's actually zoom in on one of these to see how it works in practice. Aesthetic lifestyle is a great sounding idea, sure, but it's kind of abstract. So how do you turn a vibe into an actual piece of content that people can see? Well, you do it by creating a strict aesthetic blueprint, a specific color palette, a defined vibe, really precise font pairings. And look, this isn't about limiting creativity. It's all about ensuring consistency so that every single post feels instantly recognizable as RiseOra. This is exactly how a feeling becomes a visual identity.
So we have the foundation and we have the structure. Now what we need is the engine, the marketing systems that are going to drive growth and pull people into this world we've built. This is where the blueprint becomes a living, growing thing.
This is where the strategy gets really smart. The RISE method isn't just a catchy acronym, it's a complete weekly system. They use Reels specifically for audience growth. Then, they deliver real value with info carousels. They build the brand's energy and connection through storytelling. And then, they solidify the community with daily engagement. See? Each piece has its own job, and together, they create this powerful marketing engine.
At the end of the day, the goal is always to move people from being passive followers to being an active part of the community. And this email funnel, the Ascent, is designed to do exactly that. It's a carefully crafted 7-day journey. It starts by acknowledging their pain point, why hustle culture fails. Then it introduces a new way of thinking with the acting as if concept. And only then does it extend an invitation. It's a total masterclass in building a real relationship, not just an email list.
So, let's put it all together. When you combined that foundation of identity with the pillars of content and the engine of marketing, you get the complete blueprint for an aspirational brand. And here's how that blueprint is actually put into motion. Notice the phased approach here. They don't just throw a bunch of money at ads from day one. Nope. They spend the first whole month building organic awareness to prove the concept works. Then they implement the email funnel to capture those leads. It's only after that system is proven that they start to scale with paid ads. It's strategic, it's patient, and it is incredibly effective.
And in the end, this entire complex architecture can be distilled into one simple, powerful message: rise inward, rise upward. It just perfectly encapsulates that core philosophy that true, lasting growth always begins on the inside.
And this right here, this really brings home the single most important takeaway. The difference between a brand that's forgettable and one that's influential is the difference between random and designed. Every single element we've looked at, from the mission statement all the way to the email funnel, was the result of an intentional choice. Nothing was left to chance. That, right there, is the true architecture of influence.
So it really leaves you with a final question. These principles of clarity and intentionality and design, they don't just apply to building a company, they apply to building a life. So what is the architecture that you're designing for yourself?